And we're back for another episode of my Sword Art Online rewrite. And today we'll be finishing up Season 3. If you're new to the series, I'd highly recommend checking out the previous parts, which will be in the description and pinned comment down below. With that said, let's begin with just a quick little recap of the last part. The raid team took on the Axiom Church's Integrity Knights, and Kirito defeated the Floor 62 boss, Pontifex Quinella. He also unlocked a new power, the Hero's Skill, which amplified his stats to an unparalleled level, and on top of that gained a brand new class, Dual Wielding. Kirito pays Egil a visit, and reveals all the stuff about the Dual Wielding class and Hero's Skill. Egil asks Kirito if he's told anyone yet, and he shakes his head, not even Asuna. He says that he's worried about making this info public. I mean, an exclusive power and class? That would make the players resent him even more than his time as a beater. Egil says that regardless, he's gonna need another top tier sword, so maybe asking Argo to hook him up with a blacksmith wouldn't be a bad idea. Kirito agrees, and he sends Argo a message. She's a little weirded out. I mean, Kirito's Elucidator is already one of, if not the best sword he can get right now at this point in the game. But regardless, she puts him in contact with a blacksmith named Lisbeth, and Kirito goes to her shop. At the same time, on one of the lower floors, a group of Aincrad Liberation Front members, led by a player named Thinker, are currently exploring a dungeon. All of a sudden, a purple flash passes by them, and Thinker looks over to see several of his comrades' HP at 0. They disappear, and before he can react, a sword is stabbed right through his chest. He looks over at the attacker, who calls them sinners, and that they'll pay. Thinker disappears into nothing, and the man walks away. Episode 63 picks up with Leafa, who unleashes a finishing move against a monster who's attacking a farm. The family thanks her for her help, and asks if she wants to stay for dinner. She politely declines, and instead heads into town. It's here where she hears rumors about a PKer who uses purple-colored sword skills, and that he's been going after squads on the raid team. This causes Leafa to panic, and she meets up with Argo, who pretty much just reinforces what she heard earlier. The killer, a man who uses purple-colored sword skills. Only one person meets that description. It's not. Meanwhile, Kirito meets Lisbeth, and sadly, none of her swords are up to his skill level. Lisbeth gets annoyed, but since Kirito is the Black Swordsman, she guesses going on a little quest to obtain some top tier materials won't be a waste of time. She says that on floor 45 there's a rare crystal which she can use to forge a new blade, but she'll need some help. Kirito agrees, saying that he'll make sure to protect her along the way. This gets Lisbeth a little upset, but Kirito decides not to pry. That night, Leafa opens up her friends list and messages Not, telling him to meet her at the place they first met. Episode 64 begins back on Zakaria, as Yu-Gi-Oh and Alice walk around the city, as Yu-Gi-Oh recounts his years as a student, and how he left a journey with Kirito. Alice says she's sorry. She missed so much of his life after they agreed to always stay together. Yu-Gi-Oh says it isn't her fault, that they can make up for lost time now. Alice says that he's changed. He's more confident. Yu-Gi-Oh thinks it's all because of Kirito. He's helped him become the person he always wanted to be. Alice laughs, saying it's refreshing to see him like this, and now that she's regained her memories, she hopes she can become her ideal self too. Yu-Gi-Oh asks if she's ready to see her family again, and Alice says no, but she can't hold it off any longer. On floor 12, Leafa waits in the place where she first encountered Not and Yuna, and her eyes start to tear up after remembering her friend's death. Then, a purple light flashes in her field of vision, as a man lands right next to her. It's Not, who looks different than before. He's older, and his gear is way higher level. She also notices that he's a red player, and she immediately asks why. Why is he doing this? Not says why else. It was those bastards. The raid team. They failed Yuna. They allowed that monster to kill her. Leafa says there was nothing anyone could do in that situation, that without Kirito and Eugeo, they would have all died. Not screams, saying that her brother and his friend should have showed up sooner. She said that he was going to take care of things, that everyone would be okay. But it wasn't. He can't live like this. He won't be satisfied until everyone that day pays for what they did. Leafa asks Nod if that includes her, and he stares at her with a cold expression. He asks if she'll stand in his way or help him avenge Yuna. Leafa, tears in her eyes, pulls out her sword, saying she has no choice but to knock some sense into him. Nod laughs maniacally. He says that if anyone would understand, it would be her. But she's just like the rest, hiding behind people like the Black Swordsman and Lightning Flash, moving on from each battle without considering those who have fallen. But not him. He'll fight for Yuna until the day he dies. Leafa and Nod clash. Their duel rages on. Nod attacks relentlessly, not having a care in the world for his own well-being. It's sadistic, but Leafa can't afford to think about that. Green energy swirls around her sword as she releases a powerful incarnation skill she's been working on, temporarily immobilizing him. But before she can strike again, he flashes away. As he zooms across the field, Leafa tells him to stop this, that Yuna wouldn't want this. She'd want them to live, to get out of this game. Nod says she has no idea what Yuna would want. She didn't know her like he did. The battle becomes one of sheer speed, with Leafa struggling to keep up with Nod's movements. But using her incarnation skills, she's able to slow him down. Leafa ends up headbutting her former party member, telling him to wake the hell up. I mean, really? Killing innocent people just for revenge? For something they didn't even do? That's not justice. It's cowardice. How could he possibly face Yuna in the afterlife as a coward? Nod breaks down, crying, dropping his sword and rushing over to hug Leafa. He says he's lost. He doesn't know what to do. Leafa comforts her friend, saying that she'll help him all the way, that she'll stay by his side. Finally, the episode ends with Alice and Eugeo arriving at the gates of Rulid. Eugeo holds Alice's hand as she takes a deep breath, walking inside. But before that, we pick back up with Kirito and Lisbeth on floor 45, as Kirito takes on the Crystal Titan. It's powerful, but when compared to a floor boss like the Pontifex, it's nothing. Kirito defeats the mob, obtaining the rare ore he needs and giving it to Lisbeth. As they walk back to the teleport gate, Lisbeth thanks him for protecting her. She was honestly a little hesitant about this trip. Kirito asks why, and she tells him she was once part of a guild. One time she asked them to help her obtain some rare materials for a sword once, and they swore to protect her. But they all sacrificed themselves so she could escape. Kirito is speechless, but he tells Liz he knows the pain of losing a guild, friends, that all they can do is move on and vow to get stronger for them. Liz nods, agreeing, and with a smile vows to make Kirito the most badass sword he's ever seen. Kirito smiles, happy to see she's feeling better. Alice arrives at her parents' house, and the Zuberg family finally reunites. Alice explains everything, and how Eugeo was the one who saved her, brought her back. Her parents are extremely grateful, insisting she visit Selka at the church. Just like her parents, Selka is ecstatic to see her sister again. But that happiness quickly turns to anger, sadness, and confusion. She asks Alice how she could just abandon them, leave everything to her, asking if she knew how hard it was just living up to her goddamn legacy. Selka runs away, and instead of Alice, Eugeo goes after her. He and Selka talk, and she releases all of her feelings. She's happy Alice is back, really. But these past couple of years were so hard, she's barely holding it together. And now she just broke. Eugeo says he understands. Things weren't easy for him either. But thanks to Kirito and everyone he's met, he now has the confidence to move forward. She isn't Alice, she never will be. And that's a great thing. No more holding herself to an unreasonable standard. It's time Selka starts living her own life. Selka hugs Yu-Gi-Oh, thanking him. And after everything is said and done, the Zoobergs have dinner together, with Alice inviting Yu-Gi-Oh inside to join them. Meanwhile, Asuna looks out at a lake on floor 63. She thinks about Kirito and starts to blush, finally admitting to herself that she likes him. And so the next day, she messages him to meet her at Egil's. Asuna is way too nervous to admit her feelings, but asks Kirito to form a party with her. He asks what about the guild, and she says it's fine. She's the vice commander, and she can do what she wants. And so, for the first time since floor 25, Kirito and Asuna are in a party once again. It's been a couple of weeks since Kirito and Asuna reformed their party, and Aincrad's dynamic duo have once again become notorious for their overwhelming power. With the players now on floor 74, people are starting to finally talk about what they're going to do once they get out of the game. While walking in town, Kirito asks Asuna, and she really only wants to be with him, but she's too nervous to admit that. Actually, throughout these full 2 weeks, Asuna has been looking for a moment to confess. But, nothing's working. It's actually gotten so bad that Yu-Gi-Oh and Yuki have started to tease them about it. And Kirito is as clueless as ever. Not that he would know what dating was like anyway. Anyways, while scouting out the dungeon said to hold the boss, Kirito and Asuna encounter a platoon of Aincrad Liberation members, led by Kobots. He says that the ALS will take back their title as the lead guild, and with this boss's death, he will cement himself as one of SAO's best players. Kirito thinks this is too risky, and Asuna agrees, saying that they should come back with the rest of the raid team. Kobots laughs and walks into the boss. Kirito and Asuna decide to let them go, but their anxieties take over. They rush to the boss room, only to see all the players either dead or almost defeated. Kobots looks at the duo, the last of his HP disappearing, and he asks for the two of them to help his men before dying. Kirito and Asuna unleash a full-on assault against the floor 74 boss, the Gleam Eyes. It's strong, and with just the two of them, they're losing badly. Kirito thinks back to the dual-wielding class he obtained. Is he ready to reveal it? Can he even use it the way he wants to? But he looks around, looks at Asuna. No. There's no time for hesitation. And just like that, the Black Swordsman reveals his dual-wielding class, easily overpowering the boss to the shock of Asuna and the others, pulling off a 16-hit sword skill, Starburst Stream. And just like that, the boss is defeated. And Kirito passes out. He wakes up, Asuna crying by his side. The surviving guild members escaped, and Asuna calls Kirito an idiot, asking how he could do something so reckless and just leave her alone. Kirito doesn't know what to say, but Asuna says it's his fault. It's his fault she's developed feelings for him. Kirito is taken aback by Asuna's confession, and the two finally reveal their feelings for one another, cementing it with a kiss. Asuna says she's done. She needs a much-needed vacation, and Kirito agrees, saying a break with his girlfriend, may be nice. Episode 68 picks up in a small cabin on floor 22, the same floor the two visited with the moonlit black cats all that time ago. The lovers take in the scenery, and Asuna asks if this is okay. To be enjoying themselves here. Kirito pulls her into a hug, saying Sachi and the others would want them to be happy. The two spend the rest of the day exploring the forest, fishing, cooking together, telling stories, and finally exchanging their real names with each other, Kazuto Kirigaya and Asuna Yuki. Asuna asks if she should start calling him Kazuto, but he says Kirito's fine. After all, it's who he is now. And plus, she's been calling him Kirito since they met, so it would be kind of weird for her to switch to Kazuto now. Meanwhile, we pick up with a couple of their characters. Leafa and Nod have finally recovered from their duel, with Nod telling Leafa he needs time to get better. And so the two decided to return to the front lines as a party. with Leafa doing everything she can to help her friend. Alice has gone back to the Order, which is currently undergoing massive reforms under Bercoli. Yu-Gi-Oh is actually offered an Integrity Knight position, but he politely declines, saying his place is by Kirito's side. Yuki is at Eagles. The two have their first ever proper chat, talking about how it's about damn time Kirito and Asuna got together. Argo, who just so happens to be stopping by too, overhears the conversation, and they all talk late into the night. A couple days later, the duo decides to invite Leafa, Not, Yu-Gi-Oh, Alice, Yuki, Argo, Egil, and Klein over to the cabin, and they all have a dinner party, laughing and drinking the night away. Above the cabin, Yui flies in her child form, a genuine smile appearing on her face. Kaiba then appears next to her, and she says she finally understands now what exactly he was trying to create. Kaiba dips his head, remorseful. He says he thinks it's time to end things. Next episode begins with the raid team gathering at the Floor 75 boss floor. Alice has decided to join as a representative of the Order, with Bercoli promising to send more knights once the reforms are complete. Together they take on the Skull, a giant skeletal bug-like monster. The battle is tough, with over 15 players dying. Kirito's dual-wielding skill, as well as the several incarnation skills used by the others, are dealing significant damage, but it just keeps going. Kirito turns to Heathcliff, who looks sad. All of a sudden, he surges with red aura, and the boss is instantly paralyzed. He didn't even touch him. Kirito is shocked, but he doesn't have time to think. Along with Asuna's incarnation skill, he unleashes a combo attack, ending the boss's life. After the boss fight, the mood is grim, but Kirito needs answers. There isn't a single skill in SAO that just paralyzes a monster on sight. Does Heathcliff also have a unique skill like him? He approaches the KOB leader about it, and he says he was tired of seeing people die in his world. It's here where Heathcliff reveals who he truly is. It's none other than Akihiko Kaiba. Some players try to attack him, but he's an immortal object. Nothing can affect him. Kaiba turns his attention to Kirito, as the world turns into a dark void. Kirito draws his sword, asking what this is. Kaiba says he has a choice to make. Kirito doesn't understand, and so the creator of SAO says he'll enlighten him, as the world dips to white. Kirito wakes up at a campsite, where he finds Yu-Gi-Oh and Alice waiting for him, asking him how he could possibly sleep so late in these conditions. Alice makes a remark about how he's been like this since they've been kids, and Yu-Gi-Oh agrees. Kirito doesn't understand. What are they talking about? When he gets up, his body feels sore, like it would in the real world. Yu-Gi-Oh says that pack of monsters must have really worn him out. Asuna won't be too happy about that. When Asuna is brought up, Alice gets a sly look on her face, asking him when he's going to propose. Propose? Okay, now Kirito knows something is definitely wrong. 1, he's 16. 2, he just started dating Asuna like 2 weeks ago. But the longer Kirito surrounds himself with the two, he learns that he supposedly grew up in Rulid with them, went to the Sword Academy, and met Asuna, a noble girl who quickly fell in love with him. It took a while, but due to his efforts as an adventurer, he gained the approval of her family, and now everyone's just waiting for him to marry her. He also learns about everyone else, how Yuki is living happily alongside the Dark Elves, Klein is a member of Koharu's Royal Guard, Leafa and Not are dating and have started their own business, Egil is running his shop, Argo continues to be an info broker. Everyone is happy. Kirito eventually makes it back to a mansion, where Asuna, in a lavish dress, welcomes him back home with a kiss. She complains about how boring all the snobby noble stuff is, and that all she wants to do is get back in the field. Kirito says he can take her out to hunt, and she lights up with excitement. However, Kirito thinks about what's really going on, screaming on the top of his lungs for Kaiba to end this. The world then stands still, as it shatters like glass. Kirito is now in the world of code, Kaiba standing right before him. Kirito asks what the hell that was, and Kaiba explains it's SAO's quote-unquote good ending. In reality, it's what he's hoped for this whole time, to turn this virtual reality into a real one. Kirito doesn't understand, but it's here where Kaiba reveals everything. He created SAO because he hated the real world. The war, anguish, poverty, selfishness, human nature as a whole. It made him sick. He wanted to leave for a new world, to the castle he dreamt up as a kid, and to shepherd people along with him. That's the reason he trapped everyone in SAO. He wanted people to experience an authentic alternative to the real world, which sadly had to include death. Yuki's death was a factor beyond this world, an outside illness, so he fixed it. That's also why he made the NPCs as sentient as possible, to make this world feel more alive. In actuality, they're basically real people at this point, as SAO's programming was so vast it allowed him to basically create a human soul. Kirito calls Kaiba sick. If he just wanted people to be happy, he should have let them live. And just because he wasn't happy with reality, doesn't mean he had the right to take the players' lives away from them. Also, what's up with the hero skill? And the dual-wielding class? Kaiba says that he saw a lot of his younger self in Kirito, an equal, the hero of this story. That's why he's the only one he can give this choice to. That reality he just showed him, it can be real. With the snap of his fingers, he can erase the real world entirely from their minds. They can live out the rest of their lives in Aincrad as if they were born here. Or they can continue on their current course and face the next story scenario. Kirito thinks back to the war with the Axiom Church and the devastation it brought. The world he was shown, it's exactly what he wants. If this helps people survive, even if it means erasing their memories, maybe it's for the best. Yeah, no way. Kirito thinks about all the people who have worked so hard to clear the game. No way is he gonna undermine all their efforts. He has no right to make this choice. So he rejects it. Kaiba asks him if he's sure, and Kirito says yeah. Kaiba sighs. He says it wasn't unexpected, but still unfortunate. The world returns to normal, and Heathcliff disappears, wishing the players the best of luck for what is to come. The final episode of Season 3 is the aftermath of Kaiba's betrayal. Asuna has now become commander of the KOB, but the morale behind the guild is at an all-time low. The players can't understand why Heathcliff, their leader, would just lie to them. Asuna decides that the KOB will always be associated with Heathcliff, Kaiba, so she thinks a rebrand would be good. She also asks if Kirito could lead the guild alongside her, and despite not wanting to, he knows this was his choice. He's the one who made them continue on this path, so it's only right. Together, Kirito and Asuna reform the KOB into the Cross-Sword Guild, the emblem being their two swords crossed together. The raid team gathers, and Asuna, in a new outfit, introduces Kirito as the new co-leader. He looks at the other members of his guild, and the raid team members. He sees all his friends in the crowd, and tells everyone they've come this far, that they can do this. They can beat Kaiba's sick and twisted story, and together, they'll take on whatever comes their way. However, as this is happening, we see a dark prison, as a man clad in dark armor slowly opens his eyes. From her own domain, Yui looks on, telling the man it's time to wake up. Vecta, god of darkness.